I'm seeing that around the new moon. Big change at the end of the month, Tower. And at the very end, you've got Sun. So let's talk about what each of these cards mean. At the beginning of the month, there may be some financial payoff that you were expecting that is either in delay or that it's not as much as you thought. I'm kind of getting the sense that some of you are expecting to get paid a certain amount, and it ends up that some of it needs to go towards advertising costs, or there's like a bunch of expenses that chip away at the amount that you were expecting to receive. And so the pile of money is a little bit less than what you thought it was going to be. There's something that you're expecting, some sort of security, and it's not showing up in the amount or at the time that you had expected. 10 of coins is usually a large pile of money, return on investments, return on good decisions having been made over time, contracts that are fulfilling. But because it's in reverse, it's saying that you either don't receive the security from the money that you expected, you don't receive as much from the inheritance, you don't receive as much or in the time frame that you had expected. I'm actually just seeing that there's more expenses than you expected. That's what I'm really reading this as. And I kind of get the sense that you need to stand up for yourself and defend your space. And if it has anything to do with contracts or monies that were agreed to, you really need to say, this is what I negotiated. This is 7 of Wands, which means being assertive, standing up for what you believe in, standing up for defending your space, being assertive, and saying, this is the contract that I negotiated. If there's other expenses that came into play, those weren't covered by the contract, or whatever it is that has had some sort of impact on this. This is really you standing up and defending yourself and saying, you need to assert yourself, especially regarding to any delay or smaller amount than you were entitled to. So I'm going to say, beginning of the month, Aquarius, be sure to stand up for yourself. This is being self-confident. This card is often called success despite adversity. So if you're being challenged by something, a group of people, and you stand up for yourself, you're in the successful, advantageous position, even though you're fighting these people off. So success despite adversity. If you're finding any sort of challenges, especially regarding collecting money that's due to you, this is, even if you're going up against a group, I see this as success despite adversity. Even if it's like you versus multiple people, you're in the advantageous position, Aquarius. It may challenge you though, because you may feel with strength in reverse right next to Ace of Swords, you're sensing a lack of power. You may not feel like you're at the top of your capacities. Strength in reverse says you may doubt your ability to tame this lion. And I'm going to encourage you to not try to use force, but to go through your resolve and your courageousness. Now, this could imply being assertive, can imply leaning over into forcefulness. It's fire energy. However, strength has to do with softness. And when it's in reverse, it's saying, be careful that you don't forget that gentleness ends up winning the day. Gentleness is what tames the lion and enables strength to open the lion's mouth. I'm really getting, there's something about the story of Samson and Delilah here, where she, through her gentleness, is how she tames the beast. And there's something about honey, too, where it's not through brute force. That's what Samson, wins through. But Delilah, it's her softness that ends up taming the beast here. And there's something about, you can win more with honey than with vinegar. So I'm going to say it's your gentleness that ends up being your strength. Don't forget that it's not force and hard control. This card is known as soft control. So don't doubt your own strength, but also employ it in a way that you can just stand firm. One of the things that both of these cards share is standing firm in your own foundations, your own convictions, your own fortitude. Don't doubt yourself, is what Strength in Reverse says, because when cards show up in reverse, the energy is available, but we have any doubt, fear, or resistance to that. So, and don't give in to powerlessness. This is faulty thinking, Aquarius. So if you find yourself with negative thinking, you have the power to walk out of the situation. It's only your acceptance of the situation that makes you be a victim or makes you identify as the captive in the situation. You are not, you have choices. At the beginning of November, are you going to be this or are you going to be this? This is very empowered. This is fire. This is 7 of fire. This is 8 of swords, which means giving over to negative thinking that just entraps and imprisons you. So the way to not, and Strength in Reverse says you're doubting your power. I'm going to encourage you, don't forget that you have the ability to be assertive and you don't need to force anything. You just need to stand up for what you believe. So that's what the message of all these cards together is, especially as it relates to anything where you're not getting what is due to you, what you were counting on for your security, any monies that were coming to you from the family or from a court case or an entitlement, an endowment, an annuity, anything that is having to do with structure and security. If that's in delay, you have the right to stand up for yourself and say, you know what, this is what I'm entitled to. You can give over to doubting your own strength and believing that you're a victim, but you also have this as an option, standing up for yourself and knowing that you can just do so in a very calm, centered way without forcing anything, but yet getting the result that you want through consistent, applied effort. Gentle, but firm. So that's your message for the beginning of the month, Aquarius. Stand in your own power. Don't give over to these thoughts of doubt. It's not going to serve you. Be gentle, but firm. And then, you may resolve this by the next month. Or even towards the end of the month. This is equitable, fair payment. In the middle of the month, I'm seeing from the 4th through the middle of the month, you got a lot of swords energy, Aquarius, and you are an air sign, so you're ruled by the mental element. But it may not serve you. You may be too in your head. Middle of the month is what I'm seeing. With 6 of swords and with 10 of swords in reverse, you just want to get out of this thinking. This is turbulent waters and going to smoother shores, smoother horizons, and you know what? It's funny. My nose is itching as I'm reading this, and I'm really just getting don't lie to yourself. And don't give over into this negative thinking, Aquarius. Gosh, you really look at how much overthinking there is here. Look at how many swords. Swords represent thoughts, ideas, beliefs. And in this case, they're not serving you. This is disempowering. This is draining you of all your energy. This is you resisting being able to go from a turbulent area to a calmer area. Give it up. Like, whatever it is, get out of your head, Aquarius. Your mind is almost taking on a mind of its own middle of the month. And it may impact your decision making. That's why you're not trusting yourself. And you're not trusting your own judgment. I'm going to really say, whatever it is that's causing you to overthink, you need to employ, instead of all this air energy, look at how much of it there is. You need to employ either grounding, doing grounding meditation, connect with earth, be in nature, or fire energy, which is like exercise, or being active, being passionate, working on something creative, or what's another way? Water energy, connecting with your heart, and really tuning into your emotions. Too much air, which is all the swords energy, needs to be combated by any of those other elements, because this is not serving you in any way, Aquarius. This is this is like you spinning in a boat, just going in circles in your head. And it's just draining you and exhausting you and limiting you. So be very careful, Aquarius, in November of getting too in your head, especially from the full moon onto the middle of the month. You have the choice, and the choice is right here. It's really about taking action, receiving help. 2 is always about a decision. This is 2 of Wands, and this means climbing to the heights that you want to climb to. The world is your oyster. You know, this is a pearl of wisdom that you carry with you, and this is receiving help. So there's a decision to be made mid-month. Don't overthink it. Receive help, especially is what I'm getting from this. There's someone who's going to bring you this pearl of wisdom that's going to help you make that decision. And with Chariot in reverse right next to this 2 of Wands, Chariot is also about decision making. Chariot is about trusting your intuition about whether to go left or to go right. He knows which way intuitively to go. And he balances, that's another word for both of these cards, is balance. He balances the logical, analytical, rational mind with the irrational, passionate, creative, right brain side. And therefore he always crosses the finish line because he knows intuitively when to rely upon his logic and reason and analysis versus his gut feeling, his instincts, his knowing that the horse and the chariot know which way to go, and he's going to cross that finish line and get success and victory. You have, interestingly enough, these are both cards of control. This is soft control, and this is hard control. And they're both in reverse. So there's a feeling of being out of control. And that really, what's standing in between both of those is this feeling of powerlessness. You know, this feeling of victim mentality. So if you can get rid of this and address this, which means getting out of your own head, then both of these can turn around. And by the end of the month, you do figure it out because the sun is here. This is about internal integration. This is ultimate balance within yourself, vitality, energy, motivation. You know, this is freedom. Whereas I really get the sense, Aquarius, you feel out of control about something. Hard control, soft control, both of them are out of balance. But the more you tune into your own, really interesting, it's interesting that these are opposite cards here. Because this is powerlessness, 8 of Swords, through being too much in your head. This is action. This is fire energy, boldness, courageousness, trusting yourself, knowing your own personal power. These are opposite. So tune into this. If you're feeling captive, if you're feeling powerless, if you're feeling victim mentality, especially towards the beginning of the month, get out of your own head and take action. That's really going to help you with tuning into your own personal power, feeling like the world is your oyster, feeling like you've got the world in the palm of your hands, because you really do, Aquarius, at the middle of the month, and receive help. You know, you can accomplish anything you want. You just have to get rid of this doubt and not trusting yourself, feeling out of control. Get out of your head. It's really not serving you this month. And I also get the sense that that's what's holding you back. Because Chariot in reverse, and then followed by Knight of Swords in reverse, this is usually you. You know how to charge forward. You're very clear thinking. You're very insightful. You know how to cut to the chase of a situation. You're not afraid. You trust the logic of your own mind. Usually that's what this warrior is about. And you can go into battle knowing that your convictions are strong, your ideas, your thoughts, your wisdom, your knowledge. But again, this doubt is plaguing you this month, potentially, Aquarius. If you're too much in your head, this turns you upside down. So I'm going to ask you to please remove the fear, the doubt, or the resistance that is causing you to not pursue your passions, your ideas, your ideals, your thoughts, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, to question any of that. Because Aquarians think ahead of themselves, and they think ahead of humanity, and you guys have access to knowledge, wisdom, insight, science, genius that no other sign does. And you usually are trusting that. But this month, unless you stand up for yourself, unless you empower yourself, you're not going to have that same level of courage and going for it, because there's too much fear. You're giving yourself over to these thoughts that are just not serving you. So I really would encourage you to stand up. This is in line with this too. If you don't stand up for what you know you're worth, it's only going to drain your energy. Six of Coins has to do with resources, with value, with equitable pay, equal pay for equal work, in terms of, what your value is, what the efforts that you put out. And it's important that you keep it fair, keep it negotiable, like keep to the negotiated terms is really what I'm getting. And it kind of goes back to this and needing to defend those boundaries. So by the end of the month, you do set the record straight, because I see Six of Coins in the upright here. But it's going to be through you taking action and defending your space. Success despite adversity, and getting out of your own head, making a decision, receiving help, and not doubting yourself. So that's when you get compensated for what you're worth. That's when you have the resources that you need, that you deserve, that you've earned, Aquarius. So it's really, a lot of this month is about value and beliefs, especially in terms of how the beliefs relate to doubt of yourself, feeling depleted, victim mentality, drained, unable to get out of a chaotic situation because you're overthinking it, versus confidence and decision making and going forward and balance, so that you're not questioning your normally strong, clear thinking mind. So you do figure it out, but it's going to take you standing up for yourself. Fire energy is really going to serve you this month. The Sun, Two of Wands, Seven of Wands, all here in a row. I mean, it's just cutting through the BS, cutting through the nonsense. So action. Anything that you can take action on versus being in your head is going to serve you this month, Aquarius. If you can be around fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, they are going to be great teachers for you, or mentors, or people who serve as an example, because they embody that fire energy, help you get out of your head and help you go from defending your space, feeling your own confidence, your own boldness, your own personal power, and then getting to the sun. I mean, I see it as like this pearl emerges into the sun, and that's where you feel balanced and happy and joyful and free. It's not going to come easily, is what this tells me with Tower in reverse. This is a big change, and you might be resisting it. I get some of you are going to be outed, like who you really are, because this is integration of the self, may get revealed by someone else, and not in a welcome way. Tower is something that changes our world and tears down the old structure, and you might be fearful and resistant of this. But guess what, Aquarius? This fire, the lightning coming in and the fire that's tearing down this building is good for you. It's actually releasing you. I get the sense that this gets released. Something is releasing you in a way that you don't expect. You don't see it coming. You may be fearful of it. But the world is almost like pushing you. Someone else may be causing this change, but look at where it ends you up. You become joyful, free, you have vitality, you end up in this beautiful relationship, either with someone else or with both sides of yourself. This is balancing of male and female energies. So whatever this Tower is, you have some real fear, doubt, or resistance. You may see this change coming, or you may feel it, but you're terrified of it. I'm going to invite you to invite it in and say, whatever outside forces I need to break down this old structure, even though you may not believe it's possible and you may fear it, invite that in. Because look at where you end up, Aquarius. This fire that I'm seeing with this Tower and the fire of the sun, it only helps magnify you this month. It only helps It only helps you become more you and more joyful, and it releases all these old structures and heaviness and weight that some of you maybe have been carrying around. I'm loving this. You know what? I'm going to suggest for you, Aquarius, for November,